You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. It's the TuAmigos Podcast with Carter and Jorge at DolphinsTalk.com.
Welcome to the TuAmigos show. My name is Carter, and we have been now on a full week sabbatical away from you. I couldn't do the show last week because, to be honest, I had one of the worst weeks of my life. Jorge is well aware of this. Jorge, welcome back to the show. You tried to do a show by yourself. What happened? Tell the viewers, tell the people who care. Why weren't we here for a whole week?
First of all, I don't think we have viewers. We have listeners. As far as I know.
Okay, fine. Sorry, my bad. The listeners.
Yeah, I tried to do it solo. I think I sent it to Mike. I might not have. He never uploaded it. I never followed up. It was a crazy week, and I was like, "Yeah, I've done it. Whatever." Yeah.
So
and
I mean,
will
that's
be making no jokes about Carter this week.
Yeah, I'm way too sensitive for you to joke at my expense this week. So I'll tell you just like the things that happened all in the week. I don't want to go into details because I will.
Let's not go there, man. It was a tough week for you.
But I will at least tell the viewers that, or the listeners, sorry, I did it again. The people that have been there for this journey, this romantic journey of mine, to at least tell them what happened. So like a week ago, a week ago, me and my girlfriend broke up. It was a whole sad thing. 2 days later, I get super sick and I can't go into work because my immune system was piss poor after the breakup. Then the next day when I drive to work, my car breaks down on the highway. And literally I had to buy a new car this week because of that. And now this week I've really turned the corner and I've had a great week, but last week was literally hell week for us, or for me at least. And I'm just so glad, just as, as we're coming out of this sorrow time for Carter, we actually get a game on the schedule that frickin' matters. Because like I said, I didn't give a frick about watching Giants Dolphins. I did not give a frick of watching Panthers Dolphins. I told you I was not going to jinx it by saying we should smash both those teams. And here we are 2 weeks later. We smashed both teams and we're heading into an important week. What are your thoughts, Jorge?
First of all, Carl, let me tell you, one thing that didn't happen to you last week, and I'm very proud of you for this. Yeah. You did not take a picture with some random girl at the game,
True.
Upload it to Twitter, and then ask everyone to help you find her because that's creepy.
Oh, yes. Didn't someone do that? Is something? I think I saw a picture of that, right?
That happened, man. That happened. This guy, like,
oh, gosh,
he was like, "Oh, I messed up. I didn't ask for her number." I'm like, "Look, dude, don't just go and post someone's picture on the internet and be like, hey, can someone find this girl?" It's like, if I'm that girl, I'm like, seriously creeped out. I'm like, please don't do this. Like, what the fuck? If I wanted to stay in touch with you, I would have given you my Instagram. I would have given you my number. I promise it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah, no, I think if it's twisted around. If it's like the girl asking for the guy's like information, I get that. But if it's the flip side, we could just be doxing this girl, and this guy's a stalker, right?
Yeah.
So that was the situation, right?
Yeah. That was the situation.
You're right. When I look at how bad my week was and how bad for a week I felt like my life was going, at least I didn't stalk a woman and then force Twitter to help me, find my prey or whatever he did, right? So Absolutely. That is good. That is good. So like I said, we're 2-0 coming out of, honestly, weeks I did not care about. I sat down knowing for a fact we would win those games, and we did. We took care of business pretty sizedly. Going into Eagles week, how are you feeling?
Dude, you know how I feel about primetime games.
I know.
They're not my strong suits.
They're not. You do not feel comfortable. You don't feel comfy.
I don't. I feel like everyone's watching us and everyone's just waiting to jump on us and mock us. And I'll be honest, that game at Buffalo didn't give me foreign feelings for this one.
No, the one at Buffalo, like we were talking about, and I honestly, it started to build us a narrative that like, I think the narrative is going to be going into this game. Well, the Dolphins are really good against shitty teams. So, and if we lose, and the one team we played that was good in Buffalo, we got smashed. If we get smashed against the Eagles, there's no way that anyone is going to trust us going forward.
So I will say this. And I think I posted this on Twitter. If you beat the Eagles, there's no way people don't consider us the best team in the league, right?
Of course.
You go into Philadelphia, you beat them. You lose against the Eagles, close. It's a close matchup, but you lose. You're like, hey, they put up a fight. They're contenders. We're going to see them down the line. And it's all good.
Yep, that's true.
But if you get trashed by the Eagles, then no one, as you said it well, no one is going to think we're anything more than pretenders.
It's so true, Jorge. If we get smashed by this Eagles team and we're just that's so Dolphin moment, this will literally be the narrative going forward until we, I guess really play the Chiefs, but
until we win in the playoffs, right?
Or until we win in the playoffs, yeah. And
I agree. And I think, look, what I want to see from this team, it's maturity. I think we were a very immature team in Buffalo.
We were.
Right? I mean, people freaked out, people panicked across the organization.
Yeah.
The defense couldn't get a stop to save their lives.
They couldn't.
And the offense went on panic mode, man.
And you can tell just how spotty this defense is by watching us in those first two drives against the Panthers. I'm telling you right now, a good team it's going to be hard for us to make good teams punt. Honestly, it's going to be hard.
Haven't you seen some improvement on the defense? I like to think so.
A little bit more bendy, don't break like I've seen in past years. But honestly, I don't know because we're playing Daniel Jones and we're playing a rookie, young, right? So
yeah,
I don't know if I actually have seen a huge improvement.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I've seen a better defense. I think I've seen a more disciplined defense. I think I've seen defense that can get you a quarterback with 4. Will they be able to do that this week against a very good offensive line? I don't know.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, to be fair here, though, the Eagles defensively, this is really primed up to be a huge over on this primetime game. Like, the over right now is 52.5, and this is not betting advice, but this thing is going to 60, or thing's going to 70, right? I mean, if it plays out to the game that we think it's going to play out, like the Eagles against the pass are like 29th in the NFL or something like that. The Eagles are not that like elite defense they were last year because of these injuries. We have the same situation where we allow points in bunches. So this is going to be like a 70-point game. And honestly, it feels as if like the same situation. If we're punting twice in that game, we lose. If they're punting twice in that game, they probably lose that game. And I mean, that's the game that I predict. If a different game appears, so be it. But that's the game I predict. What do you think? What do you see?
Dude, I'm on the same page, right? I think that this Eagles team is much more vulnerable this year than they were last year.
Oh yeah.
I think we're gonna get a pissed off Eagles team though because they lost against the freaking Jets.
I don't know how that happened. Did you watch that game?
I did not watch that game. I never watched Jets game, man. Come on.
I watched the fourth quarter as it was unfolding because I was like, "Are you kidding me? This could happen." And I'm telling you right now, Breece Hall was a huge part in that, and Mostert has been kind of killing it lately. So honestly, I don't know. But watching that game, I could not conceptualize how the Jets were winning, especially without their 2 starting corners. Sauce didn't play. Reed didn't play, right? Isn't his name Reed? DJ?
Yeah.
Yep. So none of them played. Also, who was out? Also, there was like a third player that was out on this defense. And honestly, they were elite. And I still can't conceptualize how they beat the Eagles. But here's my question to you, Jorge. are you more like tedious or like in your brain, would you have rather played them at 6-0 or 5-1?
I would have rather played them at 6-0
I would have too.
for a number of reasons. First of all, they're not going to be pissed off, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be like riding high, like we're unbeaten, like, and then you smack them in the mouth.
Yeah.
And number two, I would have loved to be the ones responsible for them not having a perfect year.
Oh my gosh. I know the 72 Dolphin hot headline, you know. I mean, it would have been so beautiful lining us up for we get our first statement win in the season, not a cupcake game, but a statement game. And we're beating a 6-0 team that was in the Super Bowl last year. And we're beating this team to claim back the 72 Dolphins, pop in that champagne. And we also stamp to the NFL, we're the best team in the NFL because in prime time in Philadelphia, we went up and beat the Eagles. And I'm not going to say that is still not a statement game after they lost to the Jets, but it means a little bit less. It kind of means a little bit less.
Yeah, I agree. I still think, you know, and I'm sure we're going to get to this part of the show. I still think we can win this game.
I mean, I'm not saying we can't win this game. I'm just saying if we win this game, do you think people are going to go, okay, the Dolphins beat them, and that is a good statement, but also maybe all of the injuries are piling up because they lost to the Jets last week. So really, maybe they're just not as good as they used to be at before the injuries. Is that what is going to be the narrative?
I think the narrative's going to be the Dolphins went into Philadelphia and won a game. Okay, if that's the case, they won a game they should have won against a very tough opponent.
Mm-hmm.
If for example, Lane Johnson ends up playing, which I have a feeling he's going to try.
He's going to play.
Yeah. And the Dolphins beat them. It's like the Dolphins went into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles at home, wearing their nice fancy uniforms.
Sure.
Which by the way, let me give a shout out to Mr. Tom Garfinkel, which I'm sure listens to the show. Tom, come on, man. I don't care what the fine is from the league. Let's wear the white retro jerseys.
Oh, I
Let's
love
make
those.
this the most beautiful game in the history of the NFL.
Oh, yes.
You know, just their green Kellys against or white retro jerseys. Come on, Tom. We believe in you.
There's no way they do it, but I love the concept. I mean, our retro jerseys are the best in the NFL. So
They are.
The thing I will say, and I want to hear your take on this, Jorge, because I really have this, I don't know. I have this weird taste in my mouth about the Dolphins so far this year. Just because, like I say, every single time the Dolphins do well, I always have this weird taste of, are they going to hurt me again? And I think this is it. You've probably seen all of the statistics floating around for the Dolphins about we have played on average like the worst defenses in the league. That's what it says, right? That's what the statistics say. And
Yeah.
I know that there's a counter argument to say, okay, well, we're scoring so many points on these defenses and we're racking up so many yards on these defenses. Of course, they would be one of the worst defenses in the league. I don't know if it's the chicken or the egg situation, but we really just haven't played a good defense. We also haven't played
disagree.
a very good team.
I
mean,
disagree.
Who do you think's, I mean, what's a good team? What's a really good statement win we've had this year?
Not a statement win, but I will say this. First of all, you went to the Chargers, where everyone was like, oh, yeah, they're going to be great. And they're still a very talented team. We just beat them. And they lost to the Cowboys, and they've lost to some other good teams. But that doesn't make them a not good team. It just makes them not as good.
I mean, they're 2-4.
Second.
They're 2-4 this year, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but, you know, they've lost to us. They lost to the Cowboys. Those are two of your losses right there.
yeah, it's true.
You know, they haven't lost to the Giants or some shit.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, second, you know, I mean, we played the Patriots, and yeah, they slowed us down, but we still put over 300 yards. You know, with Tua, we still have a bunch of rushing yards. We still played a hell of a game. We're just grading it on a really tough curve.
Yeah, that's fair.
And even against the Bills, we put up a bunch of yards, even in a panic mode. You know, with Liam playing his first game at center. You know, and we still, you know, put up a bunch of points. and we still had 21 points in our first 3 drives.
Yep.
So we are an elite offense. I mean, I think that's beyond question at this point. We are an elite offense. Because let me say this. How did Denver look against Kansas City?
How did Denver look against Kansas City?
Yeah.
Denver, here's the thing about in-division games. They're a little wacky, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to say this, like, literally, Kansas City used to talk all the time about how when the Broncos were good, they would literally, like, in the offseason, Andy Reid used to only show tapes of in-division games because they have 2 of them every single year, right? So they would always be ready for the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Chargers the most out of any team. And we just know how, like, these rivalries and any given Sunday can make that a little bit of a different game. That Broncos-Chiefs game was ugly, and it seemed like they had Patrick Mahomes' number. And obviously they're a team we scored 70 on. But here's what I'll say about it. I just don't think you can use that as like a staple, statistical point on why we're a great team.
I hear you. But what with the Bills and the Jets? How did the Bills look against the Jets? And the Bills kicked their ass, and we kicked the Giants' ass, and this is the NFL, and any given Sunday, and, you know.
You mean the Giants and the Bills?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Giants and the Bills. And honestly, the Giants should have won that game.
Yeah. I mean, they should have. And, you know, I would be kicking myself for a number of reasons in that game. I mean, run the freaking ball if you're in the 1. Why the fuck are you throwing?
Okay, but before the halftime, they tried
should
to
have scored
run
as well.
They tried to run at the 1, and they got stuffed, and then they didn't have enough time.
Yeah. That's when you pass the ball, and then you kick the field goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
but,
true.
you know, my point is the NFL. So no win is an easy win. We're 1-1 in the division, right? We've won, what is it now? 3 games away from home?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we've got so I say this. I think we're a very good team. I think we're top 5 in the NFL. And I think this is a game where you either prove that you're here to win a trophy and you're here to really compete for it, or you're just 1 year away once again.
I know. That's exactly what it is. And this is going to matter in a lot of ways. I'm not going to say it's the most important game of the year because that isn't this one. We have 2 games much, much, much more important than this game. But this game is top 3 importance. I would say it's the most important game for how people see us in terms of relevance. I definitely think that because we're going to be facing someone who was in the Super Bowl last year. But I will say that if we lose this game, well, then we better hell beat the Chiefs in 3 weeks, and we better beat the Bills to end the season. Because really, those are the top 3 games. You got to win 2 of those 3 games to prove to me that you deserve a 1 seed and you deserve a Super Bowl run. All of it hinges on winning 2 of those 3 games. I think the Eagles will be pissed. I think you're right. And I think this is just a situation where I've always been let down by the Dolphins, and I hope I'm not let down by the Dolphins. But what is your score prediction going into this game? And I'll do mine afterwards.
I'm going to say 38-28.
Dolphins.
Yes, sir.
And that's 66 points?
Yeah, something like that.
Like I said, it's going to be around 70 points.
Yeah.
However you swing it, these 2 teams are going to be scoring.
Yeah. By the way, here's a fun fact for you. You know, it's the number 1 offense against the number 2 offense, right?
Is it really?
Yeah.
But
the difference between the Dolphins as number 1 and the Philly as number 2 is less than, I don't know what it's.
No, I
so basically
know the statistic.
The difference between Philly as the number 2 and the 32nd team is less than the difference between Philly and Miami.
There you go. That's how you said it. And can you look that up? What's that statistic? Because I did read that and it blew my freaking mind. I just don't know the actual numbers on that. Miami is at almost 500 yards per game. Philly's at 395. And the difference between that is about 103 yards per game. And that's larger than the difference. Yeah, that's larger than the difference between Philly and Cincinnati at like 280 or whatever it is. So that's pretty nuts. And I didn't know that Cincinnati was that bad offensively the first 6 weeks, but that's pretty shitty too. Because we came to this season thinking it's going to be the Bengals or the Chiefs or the Bills, but now the Dolphins are in that conversation as well. So my score prediction here, it's going to be a little bit more pessimistic. I think it's going to be the second option. When you talked about the three ways this game could go, either we beat them, we lose close, or we get blown out. I think it might be the second one. We lose close, but everyone immediately thinks to themselves, this Dolphins team is for real, and also this Eagles team, it might be Eagles-Dolphins rematch in the Super Bowl. That's what people are going to come out of this game thinking. I think it's going to be a 34-31 loss, or like a 37-34 loss. That's 71 points scored. Maybe they beat us at the buzzer with a field goal. I wouldn't feel awful about that. However, if we do sneak it out and we win 38-28, as Jorge has predicted, I just want you to know the stakes. I want to recenter us all as fans on the stakes of this game. This will be the biggest win. No joke here. Okay, there's been bigger wins in past seasons, obviously, that, like we beat a really good team or we beat the Ravens, whatever it is. This will be the biggest win because this will symbolize something bigger as Dolphins fans. This will not just symbolize us being us being legit, but it will symbolize for me, us being a Super Bowl contender. So if we win this, we have the roster, we have the team, and Jalen Ramsey comes back in early November, and the pieces will all fall together. If we lose this game big, you will not hear a happy Carter next week, and I will tell you this, I'll blow up the whole thing in my head. So there's a lot of stakes for Dolphin fans. I think we lose close, which is not going to be a big deal. I think we beat the Chiefs in a couple of weeks. Jorge, anything on the way out?
I will say this. If we lose big this week, if we are humiliated once again in prime time and just reaffirming my fears that, are run deep within me.
Right.
If that happens, Carter, this will be my last season in TuAmigos.
Gosh.
The stakes could not be higher, my friends.
Oh my gosh, dude. The stakes have just escalated. And I honestly believe
I'll be back, but it will no longer be optimistic Jorge ever again.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, this game is so much bigger than we give it credit for, especially because the whole world's watching again. We hate primetime for that, Jorge. The whole world is watching us, and if we get shit on, we will not hear the end of it until we win a playoff game, like you said. So, all right. Good luck, Dolphins fans. I love you guys. I've been through this shit with you through thick and thin. Jorge has done the same, and we love you, and we'll see you next week.